Flash warning for photosensitive viewers. The Last Campfire is thoughtful. Haven't done my intros like that in a minute. Now, I don't know about you, but I've been a little stressed lately. Not even been doing that much, but hey, call it the energy of the hustle. There's a lot going on, and when I feel that reflect in what I'm playing, I get tired. I don't want to sit down after a long day and then pick up a game that makes me work a bit harder to play it. They can be rewarding at times, but recently I've been in the mood for something that just kind of goes. So naturally, while there was a Steam sale, I got recommendations from two friends. Don't Starve Together was $1, and The Last Campfire was about $4. Call it a splurge. Honestly, now that Tears of the Kingdom is right around the corner, I've had my eye on my spending. So basically anything that isn't a necessity is a splurge. $70 video games, am I right, fellas? Sheesh. So I tried out Don't Starve. I'm sorry to Molly, you seemed excited about me playing this one, and I was excited that it just kinda threw me in there, but then nothing happened. And that was just kind of it for that one. I died and I was upset that I did because the game didn't even explain its mechanics to me before throwing me into danger. That's like the one thing that you need to do. Again, games like this can be rewarding, so I'll be back to it, but this week I wasn't in the mood. So with hope in my heart, I started up The Last Campfire. And what a delight. Chris, you win this round. I'll spill some behind-the-scenes goss. Maybe it was running one game after the other while also running OBS, but The Last Campfire made my PC heat up very quickly and lock up, which rarely happens, but some games push it. What makes it happen is wildly inconsistent, too. Overwatch 2 runs like butter on this thing, but Risk of Rain 2 makes it lock about 3 times in 30 seconds. Point being, when I saw my computer lock a couple of minutes into Campfire, I got even more stressed. So I'm interrupting the rest of this video to make a little bit of an addendum here. I probably should have guessed something was up when the game started making my computer buck around like 30 FPS. But I didn't, and this is more of a complaint towards OBS than it is towards the actual game or the devs or anything. And when I ran it on my computer, I was getting like a stable 30 plus FPS. It was smooth sailing. The colors of this game look better on my laptop than it does on my monitor in a way that I'm not sure I can actually properly depict in video. All of this is to say, no matter what recording software I used to capture footage of this game, everything looked horrendous. On OBS, I basically got like 1 frame per hour. That's not really that much of a stretch even. I'm going to see if I can pull up video to prove that.
Ember felt like they were being watched. Ember felt like they were being watched.
And then on my NVIDIA capture, it basically sacrificed all of the game's performance in order to capture and encode video properly. So I was pretty excited about getting this game on Steam on sale for like $4, but in order to capture fluid footage, I realized that I would have to capture all of that on a different system. So I got it on the PlayStation Store at full price. Yeah, kinda sucks, but like, it's still a good game. Then I just trusted the thing to work and took a leap. The Last Campfire is a narrative-driven puzzle solver with a neat, adorable animation style backing it up. Now, you know I can't tell you what I think about the story in full. If you've been coming back around here, you'll know that rarely ever completing games is kind of my whole thing. I've never been a slow eater, but when it comes to gaming, I start to get it. I like taking my time. Helps me digest. So, you're not going to get my perspective of the ending. On the flip side, you won't get any spoilers. What you are getting is my first impressions and my take on how this thing feels to play after a couple of hours, over the course of a week. If I happen to finish it, cool. So, how does it feel? The Last Campfire is relaxing. I often found myself moving the mouse out of frame, partially because I'm not sure if OBS captures the native mouse, but more so because when I can control it, I'd rather not obscure the beautiful images taking up space on my native 4K monitor. The glow of little particles drifting around on screen as you walk by fires or talk to ghosts brings up this ethereal feeling. And in terms of straight up gameplay, while not holding your hand too much, Campfire eases you into understanding the fundamentals of its gameplay. Its first puzzle being a little statue board where you place your guy on, and have to move others out of the way to click yours down and activate a switch. Wordlessly, you understand that you have a tiny maze before you to solve, and the glowing in the paths are all the hints you really need. In a similar vein, when your little guy, Ember, goes and finds the first switch that needs flipping, they hop onto it at your command, and naturally, I assumed they just take the rest off your hands, like most games do. But they hang there and wait until you press the down key and make them go. Obviously, there's a bit of a charm factor here. Consider me charmed. Ooh, so reactive. But what I actually appreciate is that the game plays into the ideas of common sense and intuition while helping you navigate through it. You're not meant to tense up or buck at the puzzles that this guy throws at you. Every encounter I've had so far has been a neat little moment where I think to myself, how do I fix this? Or, how do I make it through this maze? You get to jump across lily pads because you're so small. And when you come across a big frog that reacts to your movements, you must think, how do I get around this fella? You go back, organize your steps so that he reacts one time ahead, giving you a free seat. And then you make your way through. It's in ways like this that I appreciate Campfire's methods of teaching its player. I like how peaceful and natural it all feels. On the other hand, I'm stuck trying to fish this darn key out of the water, and I don't know what's finally going to do the trick. I wrote that with the intention to clear enough of the game to get the key out of the water, and hoo boy, let me tell you, this game doesn't really let up. A quick Google search will tell you that this one lasts for approximately 6 hours. Maybe that's correct. The puzzles are fast solves most often, and it's paced relatively quickly enough that I don't expect an epic or anything. However, the trade-off with the length is the feeling of grandiosity. This game is packed with imagination. Not only are all of the puzzles I've played through both creative and rewarding, but the delivery is what makes it all work. It's one thing to just be competent, but Campfire goes the extra mile by taking an aesthetic design that both feels familiar, compared to games like Tunic, as well as the narrative structure and execution of daytime children's television, and then combining it with this energy charged with freshness and knowledge that there are few, if any, to feel as original in look. That comparison to children's television isn't a knock, by the way, far from it. The first couple seasons of Arthur on the PBS Kids channel are some of my favorite pieces of media of all time, and seeing old clips of Clifford, Cyberchase, or even Martha Speaks, yes, the one about the talking dog, fill me with a nostalgia and warmth that, for myself, is hard to come by when engaging with modern media. Now, the reason that I'm talking so much about the nature of this game's aesthetic is because that's quite honestly most of the package. I feel like at its core, this game is 3 parts. 1 part puzzle, 1 part narrative, and 1 part cute, compelling sights. That should be a pretty obvious statement by all means, but I think that lately I've felt that many games or pieces of media have been delivering themselves as if they are more than a story, often as if to imply that the simplicity of a story is beneath it. But Campfire is conscious of its existence and uses that to its benefit. There is so much to ponder within the simple ideas this game likes to provoke, and using the backdrop of a pretty puzzler to tie it all together is smart. There are enough story threads about an ever-present darkness and fog to clue you into the idea that, hey,
I don't want to be helped.
this game might be about depression and company. It likes to wax poetic, and most of, if not all of the time it takes the liberty to do so, I allow it. I don't speed through, waiting for the voice lines to finish and music to swell. And I do that for two reasons. One, the game is swift about it, and two, it also tends to nail the emotionality of it. Plus, Rachel August's narration is awesome here, and so is the sound design in all aspects.
The stranger whispered, "Ever feel like you are being watched?" "I've never felt that. What does it feel like? Is it nice? It sounds nice."
To talk about gameplay a little more, even when this game stumps me, it feels fair. I'm generally bad at rotating 3D objects, especially landscapes, in my own head. Look at this puzzle. It took me 3 hours to beat. And what I mean by that is that I sat staring and trying to work through it for 2 and some change before I looked up a walkthrough and beat it in 10 minutes. Even then, I didn't really complain. There's no time limit here, just vibes. The game is patient with you, so if you need to just sit and stare while you think about how to beat it, you can. Kinda like a very awesome looking crossword puzzle. After I realized how much I was enjoying this game, I looked up the devs. Lo and behold, it was Hello Games, the people behind the notorious disaster turned redemption that was No Man's Sky. I've already had my eye on it, but you can bet this means I'll be checking out No Man's Sky sooner than expected. This game's puzzles show me that puzzle games don't have to be a slog to play, and I sincerely hope that Tears of the Kingdom takes a couple cues from Campfire's approach, because I had way more fun with this than I ever did with Shrines and Breath of the Wild. The 6-hour mark has nothing on what this game has to offer in terms of straight-up enjoyment. Little paths are carefully designed to loop back on one another, and the structure of the game itself similarly opens up with puzzles that take the resolution of other puzzles in different locations to finally find an answer to. So yes, I did find a way to fish that key out of the lake, but it took me some time. It's a good thing that the Last Campfire makes it worth your while.